Now, just here at the Old Kilcullen graveyard, that's a little plaque for the 1798 rebellion which took place here. It was one of the battles of 1798 took place here. So, what I was just reading is Old Kilcullen, so this place was ahead of us, was the site of a medieval town, and the walls on the inside would have been to protect the town, and also acted as the boundary marker for Kilcullen, Old Kilcullen itself. And it was occupied for a couple of centuries before they lost their market rights. I know the history properly, but they lost their market rights to a little settlement down on the River Liffey, which then became Kilcullen. And this place kind of ran out of use and favour as the roads nearby, now you can't see on the hill, the roads nearby started to be diverted into what is now Kilcullen and taken away from this area, so it started losing any reason or need for it. But the 1798 rebellion, there was a uprising in Kilcullen town. If I can find any markers around when I'm driving, I'll stop. But the 1798 rebellion was the United Irishmen fighting British, and a lot of it actually took place around Kildare. Was obviously with Theobald Wolfe Tone being the leader, but anyway, that's a different story. But that's the old round tower, about 10 metres tall. It was much taller, it was actually damaged in the 1798 rebellion. And there's a couple of high crosses, which we'll go into now. But I'll just read this little plaque here. So, Old Kilcullen High Cross and Round Tower. The monastery is said to have been founded by St. Patrick, who placed it in the care of Mac Till, son of that Ads, whom he had ordained. It is located close to the hill fort of Dunaleen. Which was probably at one time the seat of the kings of Leinster. The round tower probably dates from the 11th century and used as a bell house, a direct translation for the Irish clock-tick. I know Irish people are going to give out to me now for that. As well as a safe place to keep valuables. So a lot of the round towers will have you'll see when I go up to it, the door was raised off the ground. So what they think happened was when raiders came, usually Vikings or other Irish clans, came raiding, they would bring up valuables and people into the round tower and then pull up a draw ladder and protect themselves. But the doorway into the church and the arch leading to the altar, the chancel arch, were originally highly decorated in the Romanesque style. To the east of the round tower is the very worn shaft of a high cross. A second high cross shaft to the northwest of the tower is decorated on 4 faces. On the north face is an image which may represent Mac Till destroying his enemy, probably the Vikings, who raided Old Kilcullen in the early 10th century. With his aids, Kilcullen from Kilcullen, Church of the Holy Slope. So, it's just a little background, because this area of Irish history I'm not great at. And I do have people in the comments always attacking me for lack of knowledge on certain areas, but what can you do? And also people asking me to show the faces of some of the graves, so that they can maybe do their genealogy test. So I'm doing my best. So here is the remains of a high cross. These would have been freestanding, so the top was obviously gone, the T part. But there is man on a horse. Can't really make out what that is. A horse falling down, maybe. And there, maybe St. Patrick with a staff and a lock or something. That is, I presume this is the old chapel. So you can see why they would have built here anyway, because the high point would have obviously acted as some sort of defence, which is the main thing you wanted back then, before kind of commerce and stuff came into it. It was more, you wanted to protect yourself. Then you see these really nice clouds over there. So this is the Old Kilcullen round tower. So now it stands at 10 metres. It would have been much taller. Now this one, not sure how short people were back then, but I could probably jump into that now if I was a Viking. So Kilcullen round tower. Round towers were used as refuge and a storehouse for church valuables during the Norse raids in the 9th to 10th century AD, and served also as a watchtowers and belfires. During the 1798 insurrection, in the course of a successful Irish stand at this point, the upper portion of the tower suffered some damage. So I don't know how much taller it was. So there you have, there's that standing stone. And the remains of the graveyard that we saw. Oh yeah, I think this is, they said this might be the stump of a standing stone, or high cross. But they're not sure, because obviously it's just a bit of rock. So you can see like nearly 360 around of Old Kilcullen. So it would have been a small village before it moved to where Kilcullen stands now. This is the other high cross. So you can see the height of some of them. This one is fairly tall. So this is well over 7 foot. Maybe 8 feet. That's just the base of it. So the T section, that's not a high cross. That's just a graveyard. Oh. It's a big size. But yeah, this is Old Kilcullen. Namesake of actual Kilcullen. Some of the graves, like 1987, so not very long ago, and there's a couple of newly buried individuals. And some of this would have been, this was Church of Ireland. I'm not sure how it worked, but it would have been taken back then eventually by the Catholic Church, I'm assuming. But it's obviously been abandoned for hundreds of years, so it was probably taken back then eventually by the Catholic Church. And when we go to St. Bridget's Cathedral, that's actually a Church of Ireland church. Or Church of Ireland Cathedral, I thought it was Catholic, but it's not. So 2018, not very long ago. There's obviously ones you can't even make out anymore. But yeah, there you go. So this would have been all an old, like these are the inner walls of the church and the graveyard. But the surrounding land would have been like small villages and stuff. But that's Old Kilcullen graveyard and round tower.